Bulldog fans, excited to introduce you to our new friends at Vincero. Very excited about this, too. I mean, this is a company that does a great job pumping out the Vincero Collective. Very, very excited about this. You should be, too. If you don't know who Vincero is just yet, they're a premium lifestyle brand out of San Diego, right here in the United States of America, carrying watches, sunglasses, and much, much more. Perfect for men and women of any style, any age. Creating exceptionally crafted and ethically made products. That's important in today's time, too. Modern pieces that elevate your look and stand the test of time. And how many times do you go out and you buy something and it's like, I really like these, and the next thing you know, you buy these glasses, and the next thing you know, they're getting kind of wobbly and everything else, and you feel like that you've got some old sunglasses and they're just not lasting. That's not the case with Vincero. They're adamant about the process. Design everything in-house. They source their own materials. They produce in small batches and ship right to your home. They do with the planet in mind. Vincero has been carbon neutral since 2019, investing in renewable energy and forestry. Modern ethical branding with the goal of providing premium lifestyle accessories for the stylish me and you. How about that? Stainless steel, durable silicone, and Italian marble straps. Surgical grade stainless steel casing with Italian marble inlay. It's incredible. Go check them out yourself today. Vincero is offering a special 15% off for Boneyard listeners and free shipping to all of our listeners by using the promo code Boneyard. That's VinceroCollective.com. That's VINCERO Collective.com. It's Vincero. That's how you pronounce it, Vincero. But it's spelled VINCERO Collective.com/Boneyard. Very, very easy to find. And again, you get that 15% off and free shipping just by being a Boneyard listener. Be sure and check them out today.
Underdog Fantasy is the fastest-growing fantasy app and easiest place to play fantasy sports. Just jump on UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app, draft your team, and that's it. And if drafts aren't your thing, they also have a pick'em game where you can win 20 times your money in a single night. Use promo code RADIO, and Underdog will double your first deposit when you sign up with up to $100 in bonus cash. Deposit $100, get $100 free. That's promo code RADIO. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to the Boneyard with Steve Robertson. As always, I am your good friend and host, Steve Robertson, here on the Maroon Friday edition of the Yard. Hope you're wearing maroon today. It's a big day. It's our return to Duty Noble Field. Hadn't been there in a little bit, and so we'll get back. We'll welcome the Florida Gators. We're going to preview that a little bit later in the show. But, here's the deal, is we don't get too many chances to congregate together. I like it when you guys come to town. Not just because you're supporting Mississippi State, but you're supporting local industry and local business. And not to mention, I had this discussion with my youngest son yesterday. He's like, hey, Daddy, I really want to go see the Doctor Strange movie with some friends of mine. Do you mind if I go? I'm like, no, I don't mind if you go. Matter of fact, I encourage you to go. I want you to go make some memories with your friends. I want you to go have a good time. And the older that I get, the more that stuff matters to me. Because I know that I have, less life in front of me than I have behind me. And so the things that I value most are the time spent with people that I care about the most. And so I encourage you, as always, get in the car, bring the kids, bring those you love, and come support the Bulldogs. And if you can't, let me encourage you to gather around a TV set with those you love and support too. So I think it's important. I really do. I'm excited today too. I've got an article that'll be up by the time this show is published. I love Mississippi State baseball. I do. Maybe you've heard. But I wrote an article this morning. I started working on it yesterday. I was kind of inspired to write it. I was working on some other things. Earlier this week, I wrote a piece, 10 names that deserve to be considered for the Ron Polk Ring of Honor. And it is an amazing thing that we do that. And I think we do a great job of honoring our former greats here at Mississippi State. I think we do. I think we can do a little bit more. And I'm probably a little bit of the fly in the ointment when it comes to that, because I like to talk to people about that. Say, hey, what about so-and-so? We hadn't done anything for them. And I think about those families out there. Maybe their player is gone. Maybe it was their grandfather or their great-grandfather, and they've heard all of these great stories about, hey, when your grandfather played at Mississippi State, he did this, and he went on to the major leagues, and he had this, and he had that. How cool would it be to allow those grandkids and those kids to be able to come to Duty Noble Field and see their ancestor or the patriarch of their family be honored and be remembered by Mississippi State? We remember them, and I've done my best to document, several of these stories for posterity's sake too, and to kind of shine a light on the fact that we've had so many great players in multiple sports here at Mississippi State. But again, and I know this offends some people, which I think is silly. We're a baseball school. That's the one sport we've always been able to compete at. There's been a few lean years here and there, but by and large, we have been one of the best baseball programs in the history of college baseball. And yes, we just have the one national championship to show for it. But I did my math a while back. We had a discussion on Gene's page about where does Mississippi State rank. I think I had us 12th all time. We're definitely in the top 15 college baseball programs of all time. I don't think there's any question about that. I think it's one of those things, sometimes we kind of struggle to come to grips with that because we don't know the history. We don't, not just our history, we don't always know the history of college baseball. But we have been a premier program in college baseball since our inception in 1885. When William Jennings threw the very first pitch in Mississippi State baseball, we were a winning program. We have been, in many respects, what other people aspire to be. And the good thing is, and I give John Cohen a lot of credit, and Scott Strickland some as well, and I go back to think about when Greg Byrne hired John Cohen. So we were kind of drifting a little bit as a baseball program. And that's not in any way a criticism of anybody. But we had kind of, let some things happen. We weren't not quite as proactive as we should have been. Anyway, John Cohen's up there winning an SEC championship at Kentucky. At Kentucky, you may not know this, Kentucky is the only team in the Southeastern Conference to never advance to the College World Series. They have among the most anemic traditions in college baseball among the Power Five. And John Cohen goes up there and goes from worst to first. And so I remember Super Bulldog weekend, John and those guys coming in here, and to me, they just looked so much better than us. From an organizational standpoint, from an offensive game plan standpoint, I just felt like, we've got our guy up the road in Lexington, Kentucky, that's winning an SEC championship, and we had not won one since '89 at that point. You start thinking, how do we let this happen? And there was a lot of pressure on Greg Byrne to make a move. Ron had already announced his retirement, so, there were some people, obviously, that wanted Tommy Raffo to get the job. I love Tommy Raffo. Tommy, one of the best players to ever play at Mississippi State. That's another name that needs to be in the Ring of Honor, and it will be soon. Will be. But there was, people were divided. It's like, hey, we need new blood, or let's kind of continue what Pogue had built. And there was a lot of pressure on Greg Byrne. I mean, a lot. Maybe he should run the NCAA, right? Maybe he should replace Mark Emmert. Greg's not scared to make a decision. Good, bad, or indifferent, Greg Byrne's a great leader. That guy is not scared to make a decision. He's not out here conducting an opinion poll. Now, I'm not going to say that I agree with everything Greg did when he was here at Mississippi State, because I don't. And Greg got credit for some things, too, that he didn't necessarily do. But Greg was a good athletic director when he was here at Mississippi State. And obviously, you look, that's a guy, too, obviously, that, has built a great career. Goes out to Arizona. Now he's an AD at Alabama. Can you imagine? Are there many jobs in the country as good as Alabama as an athletic director? Florida's one, too. And we got Scott Strickland over there, too. But Greg Byrne was getting it from all sides. It's like, hey, we need to respect Ron Polk's wishes. And, of course, Polk had retired one time and named Pat McMahon his successor. Coach Mack came here and did a good job and ultimately left us and moved back to Florida, which was a real sting to our pride, because that didn't happen to us at Mississippi State baseball. Coaches don't leave us. This is a destination job. And so Greg is getting beat up from all sides. A lot of longtime donors like, hey, Polk deserves the opportunity to name his successor. Again, he'd already done it once, but he needs to do it again. Tommy has been loyal to us. Tommy's had opportunities to leave and go other places, and Tommy stayed here. The expectation of getting this job. And then there's John Cohen, leading Kentucky to an SEC championship. John told me a while back that when he won the trophy, he asked the guys, he goes, hey, where do you guys want this thing? I was like, you take it to your office, your house, whatever. They didn't even know what to do with the trophy. It's just such a rare occurrence in Kentucky. And Greg hired John. Revolutionized our recruiting efforts. I shared with you guys before, when John got here, we didn't have anybody committed. I think Ole Miss had 17 of the top 20 prospects in the state of Mississippi already committed or signed. The one guy we went and got was Chris Stratton. Built a staff and a team around Chris. Big leaguer. Worked out well for us. But things changed. And you go back and you think about those decisions. I mean, it's like, not only did we, go play for a national championship in 2013, win the SEC in 16, become a national seed for the first time, and all of a sudden we begin to upgrade our facilities, and then John gets into a position where he kind of controls the purse strings a little bit. And now we have, the greatest cathedral in all of college baseball. And a lot of that goes back to the decision that Greg Byrne made. It's like we decided, hey, we're ready to get serious about baseball again. Now, our love for the sport and our program never changed, but our commitment level did a little bit. We had kind of rested in our laurels a little bit. As much as I love the old dude, we let her get old. We did. And maybe not you or I, directly, but as a university, we kind of let Duty Noble get old. We're like, hey, we got all this character in the lounge. Everything is great. And then you look around, man, and some of the facility was pretty antiquated, especially when everybody else in the league began to build, newer and better ballparks. You say, better? Yeah, better. From a player amenity standpoint, wasn't close. So we had to make a change, and we did. And now we've reaped the benefits from it. That's one thing that I sometimes think to myself is that, what if we'd made these moves earlier? The path is the path. It is. But, what if we'd done it earlier? And now what is to come? And I know this year has not been the year many of us had hoped it would be. I mean, it's not over. Got a big weekend. I mean, we could change a lot this weekend. Really could. We could get some RPI boosts. We need to take all three. We do. You take two. That's the minimum standard. We need to find a way to get all three. We do. I don't know if we can, but if we could, it changes a lot. It really does. I just don't have a lot of confidence in us winning all three, just to be honest with you. I believe in this team. I believe in this coaching staff. I believe in our players. I believe in Mississippi State. I do. We got some major return on our investment last year. I don't know if we're going to get the same dividends this year, but I'm not going to bail on the team or the coaching staff by any stretch. But I think about those things a lot, and one of our guys on the message board mentioned this too. We had a discussion yesterday at Gene's page about, going back when Tom DeArmond was here, and that's a name that the casual fans don't really know. He was the lead assistant coach under Coach Paul Gregory. He laid out Duty Noble Field. He was the guy that maintained it. I mean, he was the premier, facility manager and groundskeeper in the country. The great tradition of Mississippi State baseball turf began under Tom DeArmond. Guy took a cow pasture and made it, a jewel of a stadium. And then he's there, and there's this incident with Vanderbilt, and Polk is here that year, and I guess Polk and them won the regional. It's like that's when we all kind of met. It's like Polk came here. We didn't know Ron Polk that much. We ran the facilities, did a pretty good job, and as Polk's told me before, they came up here for the regional, and he was impressed with how much Mississippi State was committed to baseball. Now, that weekend really changed the trajectory of not just Mississippi State baseball, but for most of us, our lives. Interesting stuff. I think you have to have a sense of history. I enjoy today. I look forward to tomorrow, but I have a real sense of history, and I appreciate our baseball tradition. I hope that you do as well. Let's thank our friends at Bulldog Burger Company. That's a new tradition that you can all get behind. Great people doing a great job at a great price. So many people out there are reducing portions and using substandard ingredients. Not the people at Bulldog Burger Company. Nope, not them. They're still doing the deal, man. Love Bulldog Burger Company. You will too. There's 3 great locations. The University Drive here, that's in Star Vegas. That's a flagship. Gloucester Street there in Tupelo and Lake Harbor Drive, of course, there in the central Mississippi area. Richmond, Flowwood area. You go by and check them out. You'll be glad you did. Have the spring rolls as your appetizer. They'll make you and everybody around you better looking. Trust the science on that. And maybe get that chocolate shake to go. That's a nice capper. It's a nice palate cleanser. I love a great restaurant quality hamburger. It's one of the great delicacies in life. And you could get a hamburger just about anywhere, but you can't get one the quality you can at Bulldog Burger Company. Go by and check them out today. You'll be glad you did. Bulldog Burger Company, the place where people go to meet. M-E-A-T. All right, let's take a look at the Florida Gators. Florida has really underachieved this year. I picked them to win the SEC, and now I've got egg on my face because these guys, they're struggling to make Hoover. They should make it, but goodness gracious. I mean, it has not been the year that many expected for Florida. Now, they've had some injuries too, but that came late. Florida struggled right out of the gate, and that's the thing. Kevin O'Sullivan's a guy too. He's 15 years now at Florida, won a national championship. The guy's had a pretty good run there. Maybe not the run that they have wanted as of late. I mean, it's weird for me to think about that. Florida just has the one national championship, and I'm sure a lot of people in Gainesville, Florida, thinking, isn't it weird that Mississippi State only has one national championship? But with Florida's resources, you would maybe expect them to have more. But let's take a quick look at the Gator season this year. They open up the season at home and lose 2 out of 3 to Liberty. Right out of the gate, 2 out of 3 to Liberty. They beat Stetson on the road in DeLand, Florida. They get North Florida. They sweep a weekend series against Georgia State. They beat North Florida up there in Jacksonville. They get Florida A&M 17-0. Then they take a 2 out of 3 series at Miami. That was a huge series when it happened. A lot of national attention on that one. And you can see Florida really playing a lot of in-state games in the non-conference. And I think in some ways maybe that gives you maybe a false sense of confidence. They get a 1-0 win over Jacksonville, the Fighting Scotty DeBrules down there. Seton Hall comes in for a weekend series, and the Gators take 2 of 3. They play 2 9s on Saturday, and then they lose the Sunday game 6-4. They open up conference play with a road series win at Alabama, taking 2 out of 3. You think, okay, maybe they're settling in here. They beat Bethune-Cookman, and then next thing you know, LSU goes into Gainesville and takes that 2 out of 3. Florida wins the Friday game. And you kind of go back to, when you look, some of these series they didn't do quite as well. They've been really strong on Fridays, and a lot of that's got to do with Hunter Barco, who's no longer on the team. I mean, he's on the team, but he's not available. Out for the year. And you hate it, man. It's not as bad for him as bad for college baseball. You don't need to see high-profile pitcher guys come in here and end up getting hurt. Not that people are scared of arm trouble this year, but that's kind of becomes the anti-recruiting pitch, right? These MLB people are like, hey, you don't want to go to college. You can end up, look what happened to this guy and that guy. But, again, lose 2 out of 3 at home to LSU, and you're like, hey, LSU is back. Florida bounces back to beat Florida State in a midweek game on a neutral field there in Jacksonville. And then Florida goes to Georgia. We had been there recently, and it was like, hey, Georgia team's pretty good. And they are. And Georgia sweeps Florida. 7-6, 6-1, 14-8. So nothing really fluky about that. Georgia dominates the series. They bounce back and beat Florida A&M. We talk about us playing some week 9 conference schedules. Florida has the ability to go out and schedule some nice mid-majors. They don't always do that. And then Florida bounces back and takes 2 of 3 against Arkansas. Arkansas currently was ranked 2 in the country at the time. And ironically, they lose the Friday night game. They lose the Hunter Barco game 8-1. They bounce back and win the next 2 offensively, really played well. Then they lose at Florida State and Tallahassee. They go to Nashville, and you're thinking, okay, Florida's going to turn this thing around. Vanderbilt's just kind of middle of the pack this year. And Vandy takes 2 out of 3. And it took 10 innings on Sunday for Florida to squeeze out a win. 4-3 decision there. And again, 10 innings. I watched that one. If I remember correctly, Vandy's down their last strike and hit a 2-run tank to tie it, force extra innings, and then Florida wins it. They get Stetson in the midweek 10-8, and then they get swept by Tennessee. And no shame in that, right? And Nick Mingione saying, yeah, no shame in that. So they get swept 8-2, 3-0, and then in 11 on Sunday, 6-4. These Sunday games starting to get a little tighter. They take 2 of 3 from Kentucky and Gainesville, and again lose the Sunday game. Strong on Friday, 9-2, and 9-1 Saturday, and an 8-1 decision on Sunday. They take down South Florida in the midweek, and so now they're 18-3, and it was a score, and they get ready to come in here. And so on the year, Florida is 26-18 overall, and 8-13 in the conference. Away from their stadium, they're 8-8 total, but true away games, they're 7-8. They have not been really good on the road. And maybe that bodes well for us. And you start thinking about, looking at their 7 wins. A couple of those came at Miami. So you get into SEC play, they've been even worse, on the road. So are they vulnerable? I don't know that I would say that. But I think this is a team that, can we sweep them? Yes, we can. Will we sweep them? I don't think so. And we need to. I think we win the series. I don't think that we take all three. And when I begin to think about, what that means for us, it really puts us in a situation. So let's say we get 2, gets us to 12 wins. What are we right now? 10 and what are we? 10 and 11, or maybe we're 9. I don't remember. I'll look in a minute. But I guess I got it right here. Why do I have to go look? I've got it right here. Look at the standings here. I guess we were 8 and 10 heading there for last week. Yeah, we won 9. So yeah, we won 9. And so let's say you get 2 this weekend, it puts you at 11. You got to get 3 or 4 somewhere, And with what we've got coming in, I don't know if that's the case. I just think this is probably our last chance to kind of get fat. You got to eat when food's being served on the table, and this is it. So we've got to find a way to get that done. As I travel around the Southeast chasing the Bulldogs around, I see it everywhere. Everybody's hiring. America's workforce not back at its full capacity just yet. A lot of businesses out there struggling to find quality employees. Maybe you're one of them. Let me offer some suggestions. Go visit my friends at Indeed. They've got it figured out for you. They can help you. It's a great partnership. You know how it is. If the Bulldogs don't have the right players with the right skills, chances of winning pretty slim. It's the same for you and your business. Maybe you'd like to be able to do more, but you can't. You got staffing concerns that are holding you back. If you're hiring, you need Indeed, because Indeed is the hiring partner where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Indeed is the only job site where you're guaranteed to find quality applicants that meet your must-have job requirements, or else you don't pay. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites hoping to find candidates that may work out, get some ones that will with the right skills. You need one powerful hiring partner that can help you get that done. Indeed partners with you on every step of the hiring process. Find great talent through time-saving tools like the Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. With Instant Match, as soon as you sponsor a post, you get a short list of quality candidates with resumes on Indeed that match your job description, and you can invite them to apply for your position right away. Plus, you only pay for the quality applications that meet your must-have requirements. Here's the deal, too. We're going to save you a little money, too. If you're a business out there that's trying to make some things happen, and you say, you know what, Steve, I've never used a company like this, allow me to give you some incentive. How about $75 credit with Indeed? Start hiring right now with that $75 credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Boneyard. That offer is only good through the end of the month. It expires April 30th. That's Indeed.com/Boneyard to claim your $75 credit before April 30th. Terms and conditions may apply. You need to hire. You need Indeed. There's no doubt about it. Hey, Bulldog fans, do you enjoy celebrating? There's always something to celebrate, whether it be a big win from our Bulldogs or perhaps a major life event in someone you care about, whether it be a friend or family having a baby or getting married or getting a promotion or moving to a new home. Maybe you're looking for that perfect housewarming gift. Maybe you just want to celebrate yourself keeping the couch warm and staying out of trouble, right? It's no easy feat, especially if it's a big couch. Maybe you just want to celebrate living in 2022, where you can get beer, wine, and spirits delivered from Drizzly in under 60 minutes without even leaving your house. Right now, Drizzly is giving all new customers $5 off their first order with code FAST5. That's F-A-S-T, the number 5, FAST5. So download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com. And use promo code FAST5 for $5 off of your first order. Drizzly is the #1 app for alcohol delivery. It's the most convenient way to buy beer, wine, and spirits. We deliver to your doorstep in under 60 minutes. It's quite the service there. So just check it out today. Download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. Again, that's DRIZLY.com. And use promo code FAST5. That's F-A-S-T and the number 5. And let's look inside the numbers, I guess, here. Yeah, state now, 9 and 12. So we had talked about 14 kind of being the minimum. 15 probably. 14 wins makes it possible. 15 makes it probable, if that makes sense. And if you look at the numbers, too, ordinarily you'd say 14 would do it, but our RPI is so bad. We need some help there, and it's going to be difficult to make it up. Of course, Florida's got pretty good RPI, so you pick up 3 wins on them, and all of a sudden life gets a lot better for you. Well, we still wouldn't be out of the woods. Let's take a quick look at Florida now. Kind of look inside the numbers here. Look at who's doing what. And they returned a ton of veterans this year. That was the thing, too. They had a lot of guys that got drafted, maybe didn't get what they wanted, decided to come back, and they're not having the season that they wanted. But listen, when these guys are playing well, this is a difficult lineup. I mean, it really is. All right, Sterling Thompson leading the team with a 341 batting average. Got 8 tanks and 38 ribbies. He is a sophomore from Ocala, Florida. A lot of baseball played in that neck of the woods. 5 of 6 in stolen bases. And they run the bases enough. They don't run it. They're not like Missouri, even though Missouri didn't run a ton against us. But, they're 35 and 46 as a team. And Thompson, one of the best ones. Wyatt Langford started all 44 games for them, hitting .339. He has 14 home runs. And this is a team that can swing it now. You lead balls up against them, you're going to pay for it. This is, again, a sophomore from Trent, Florida. Doing really good in-state for sure. But 14 tanks, 46 ribbies. Then you've got BT, and I'm going to pronounce it wrong, Riapelli, I guess is his name, but 13 tanks for him, 38 ribbies. Jade Fabian, you knew that he would be a guy that may contend this year for the SEC Player of the Year honor. He's not going to win it, but he's got 19 home runs total and 47 RBIs. A lot of swing and miss in his game, and you expect that with power hitters for sure. But Jed Fabian hitting just .279. We talked about BT Riapelli, but he's got 51 Ks. That's the highest on the team. So there is some swing and miss in this lineup. It's a team that struck out 353 times. Josh Rivera, 6 home runs, 19 RBIs, .279 as a hitter. Colby Halter, I know he is a guy, too, that some people are really excited about, when he was coming out as a prospect. And, he's a sophomore from Bishop Kenny down there in Jacksonville. We had some success recruiting down there, years ago. But, they've got some guys that can swing it. But, you'd expect Florida to have a lineup that has some length to it. And this one does. But they're really, really strong in the middle. Really, really strong. And so there are going to be times you're going to kind of hold your breath when you get to that 3, 4, 5 in the order. These guys can hurt you. Jed Fabian, too, is a guy that's walked a lot. 46, which is a pretty big number. Also been hit by the pitch 5 times. The team, 40 hit by pitches. I don't know that it's coached, because I think these guys want to swing. I do. And I think, we've got to go out there and get some Ks against them. And I mentioned, as a team, it's 353. But there is some swing and miss in the lineup. They do ground in some double plays. Kendrick Calileo has done the most with 7. But, again, this is what you'd expect from a Florida team. Don't let the record fool you. These guys have some ability. These guys can really, really play. It's just a matter of can they kind of piece it together. That's been the real challenge for them. From a pitching standpoint, everybody, listen, it almost has become like a trend in the SEC as of late that everybody loses a pitcher. A guy that you count on your weekend rotation. Been a lot of that the last couple of years. But Hunter Barco is an absolute stud. I mean, an absolute monster. And he's done for the year. 5-2 record, 2.50 ERA, 9 starts, 50.1 innings pitched, which is the second highest on the team. And you got to remember, he's missed a handful of appearances now. 69 Ks against 11 walks. So, you're right there at 7-1. That's outstanding. Allowed just 6 home runs, which was second most on the team. Kind of interesting. Opponents were hitting just 187 against him. This is a guy, too, around the plate, gets a lot of swing and miss, but he's out of it. And so you start looking at this deal now. We're going to see Blake Pernell at some point. He is their primary reliever. Guy's really, really good. 25 appearances this year. 2.33 ERA. Got 4 saves, which leads the team. They've kind of piecemealed that thing out a little bit, too. Kind of played some matchups. But he's only allowed 10 earned runs all year. 35 Ks against 10 walks. Give up a couple of tanks. Opponents are hitting 238. He does have a tendency to hit hitters. As a team, they have hit 62 guys. 62. It's a big number. All right, so Blake Pernell, we'll definitely see him at some point in the weekend. Brandon Sproat is a guy that a lot of people have projected to be, a really good draft pick. I don't know that he's draft eligible this year, but this is a guy that has a lot of notoriety, shall we say, as a big leaguer. Got the major league body, 6'3", 210, sophomore out of Pace, Florida. But Sprode is a guy, last year was kind of thrown to the wolves a little bit and did a good job for him. But 5-4 record, 4.39 ERA, 12 appearances, 11 starts. Leads the team with 55 in the third innings pitch. Has allowed 50 hits. That's over a hit per. Man, that's not great. 27 earned runs allowed and a 2-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. He is a guy that will give up the extra base hit. He has given up 11 doubles, a couple triples, and 4 home runs. Opponents are hitting 272 against him, and 5 hit by pitches. So that'll be interesting to see kind of how he handles things. But Nick Pogue is another guy that has pitched some form in the midweek. Maybe we see him kind of in a relief role, but that's another guy that they expect to be a dude for them. 6'5", 235 pounds. Timmy Manning is a guy that has pitched some SEC, so we may see him as a middle reliever. He's been kind of primarily a midweek guy, but we'll kind of see how things go with him. But there's just so many guys on this staff you look at. Brandon Neely is a freshman that has come on here as of late and had to kind of pick up some of the slack. He's been good in SEC play. He had a rough outing against Arkansas, but since that time he's really settled down. 6 1/3 innings against Vanderbilt in a win, and 7 innings against Tennessee. And that's the deal. You see Tennessee, yeah. He went 7 innings and allowed 1 run on 1 hit, struck out 8 against that lineup. You got to feel good about that guy. And then 4 innings against Kentucky. So we'll see how things go. But this is a staff, this is what Sully is kind of known for, is pitching. And they've been kind of inconsistent this year, but they're going to be around the plate. They're going to have a 3-pitch mix. We're not going to be up there, be able to kind of grind out a lot of at-bats. We're going to have to go up there looking to swing the bat. As a team, it's a 4.48 ERA. But, again, it's a solid staff, which is exactly what you'd expect. I mean, the guys with the higher ERAs are guys who don't throw a whole lot. But among their regulars, they're very, very competitive and not going to give you a whole lot. They've allowed 45 home runs as a team. To kind of put that in perspective, their opponents have allowed 83. So as a team that's relying on the home run, that's a number that kind of sticks out to you. You'd like to see some guys elevate some pitches. And it'll be a little bit warmer, so we'll see if the ball flies a little bit more. There's a time there when it really gets warm. Anything hit hard to left, man, is a tank. So we're going to have to get out there and play good baseball. And we're going to probably need some help from them a little bit. We're going to have to play it clean, and my hope is that the week off has been good for us. Looking at some fielding numbers, Florida has committed 34 errors on the year. Opponents just 36. So fielding percentage of 979. Not bad at all. You start looking at these numbers here, these errors. I mean, they're pretty spread out. Josh Rivera leads the team with 8. We talked about him a little bit earlier. He's an IMG product, 6'2", 210 pounds. So another one of those guys that looks like a prospect, but he's made some errors. Derek Fabian has made 5. Colby Halter has made a handful. So, nothing really jumps out at this. And you say, hey, this is going to be a big weakness right here. This is a team, again, they're basically us. They're a team, well, they're us with better pitching, but they're just like us. They're a team that had high aspirations for this year, and it hasn't come through for them. Now, the rest of that story, too, is they still got a lot to play for, too. We start looking at RPIs and we start thinking about, at-large bids and things like that. Well, they're very much in the mix for that. And you'd say, but Steve, we're all right there together and we have a better conference record. We do. But they have gotten some wins that we haven't. And so I'm pulling up the latest RPI as we talk right now. Our biggest win right now is Georgia, and second biggest win is Auburn. Those guys are 3rd and 4th in the RPI. Southern Miss is right there at 10 in the RPI. See, and our non-conference RPI is what's killing us. But Florida right now, 21 in the country in RPI with a strength of schedule of 3. And that's why their RPI is what it is, even with a 26-18 record. And so their non-conference record's 18-5. Non-conference RPI is 9. That's just not the case for us. To kind of put that in perspective, for those of you that are curious, you're like, Steve, you're going to talk about RPI, not mention us. We're at 84 with a strength of schedule of 64. Our non-conference record is 16-8 and a non-conference RPI of 166. You say, well, Steve, how's that possible? Well, you lose to Northern Kentucky. We got beat by Long Beach State earlier in the year, and everybody's thinking, hey, these guys are going to be world beaters. And a lot of people in West Coast baseball are like, yeah, I told you these guys are going to be great. Could be an Omaha team, and then they are really struggling. Really, really struggling. So we have some very ugly non-conference losses that are weighing us down. That's the issue. That's absolutely the issue. And you leave some wins out there on the field, and we can think of a ball game just about every weekend. It's very rare that we just get our craniums beat in. There's always the game. There's always that deciding game where we make the crucial mistake or don't get the big hit, and we lose. And when you're carrying that anchor of a non-conference RPI around your neck, it just does you in. You can't overcome those tight losses in the SEC when you don't have a better non-conference schedule. And one thing, and I thought about this earlier, let's look at this together. It's because I think it's important. We talk about scheduling all the time. Everybody would love to come play at Duty Noble Field, right? I would suspect, and especially those northern teams, they all love coming down here. But when you start looking at this thing, it's just kind of ridiculous to think about this. Like Long Beach State now has an RPI of 112. We lost 2 out of 3 to those guys. All right, Arkansas Pine Bluff, their RPI is 300. We beat them. We took 2 of 3 from Northern Kentucky. Their RPI is 228. We beat Grambling. Their RPI is 281. Southern beats us, RPI of 10. Tulane, we lose that series. Their RPI is 51. Texas Tech is right there at 44. Princeton, we sweep that series. Their RPI is 283. Binghamton, we bring those guys in and beat them on a Monday. Their RPI is 232. Georgia's 3. Southern 247. That's Southern U in Baton Rouge. They're 15-27 on the year. Alabama's RPI has now dipped to 50. Memphis, those guys are 500. Their RPI is 197. Arkansas is at 28. We win 1 down there. We beat Tennessee Martin. They're 10-29 this year with an RPI of 267. LSU's RPI is 14. They sweep us, so we don't get much benefit from that. UAB, Casey Dunn's got those guys playing pretty well. Their RPI is ahead of ours. They're 73. Auburn's at 4. Jackson State's 282. Ole Miss is at 60 and falling. Missouri, they take 2 of 3 from us. Their RPI is 40. Now, Florida ahead of us is at 21. Sanford's 157. A&M is 13. North Alabama is 278. We might go ahead and cancel that for rain. And then we have Tennessee with RPI of 1. So, probably smart for us to cancel the North Alabama game. That's all it's going to do is hurt our RPI even if you win the game. Not to mention probably save you some arms for a weekend when they're going to be swinging it a lot. But, the thing that I go back to, too, is we talk about scheduling. And you got to have some of these RPI, sinkers just so you can get some young guys some work. But, you think you got Arkansas Pine Bluff, Grambling State, Southern, Jackson State. What is that, 4 SWAC schools on the schedule this year? I just don't know if we can absorb 4 of those. Maybe you do a couple, but to do 4 of those in a year, I don't know. In hindsight, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But it's easy to be critical at this point. Of course, if we win some conference games that we expected to, you can absorb some of that. But who knew? That Long Beach State, and that contract was signed at Long Beach State, would end up being 18-25 with a month to go in the season. We thought that when we got beat, we're like, hey, those guys are good. Turns out they're not so good. It should have been kind of a harbinger of things to come. We lose that series, and then we drop that game in Northern Kentucky. Then we lose to Southern Miss, and everybody starts to panic, and we're thinking, okay, we'll go to Tulane and we'll turn it around, and we put that 19-2 spot up on them on Friday, and we think, okay, here we go. Here come the champs. We lose that extra inning game on Saturday, and then we lost 2 one-run games. What would be the difference in that? I mean, you pick up those 2 ball games, you feel a whole lot better about your season. But more importantly, we lost 2 of our best pitchers. We split with Texas Tech, and everybody was already panicking. We knew we had to get a sweep of Princeton. We did. It was like, okay, we're good. We've won 5 of 6 going down to Georgia, and then we go down there and get beat 11-0. And we felt pretty good about that Sunday win. Like, okay, now we're going again. put together a 4-game winning streak. We should have swept Alabama. We didn't. Pick up the Memphis win, and we're just thinking, let's go to Arkansas and just kind of survive the series, and that's basically what we did. Finally got a win up there. We're like, okay, now we've got an LSU team coming in here to struggle a little bit. They take 3 from us. And at that point, a lot of people are like, you know what, this is not going to go the way we want it to. Auburn comes in, we take 2 of 3. We lose game 3 in the 10th inning. Where would we be? Just think about that W. Goodness, especially with their high RPI. You beat Jackson State, take 2 out of 3 from Ole Miss, and everybody's thinking, okay, we're okay. And then we go drop 2 out of 3 to Missouri. And it's like it's been so up and down, roller coaster thing. It's like just when we start to feel a little bit better. And I don't think at any point maybe we felt great this year. Maybe that's fair to say. At no point this season have we felt great about the season. There are times we felt pretty good and times we felt okay, but a lot of times we've just kind of been worried. It's like, oh my gosh, is this really happening? We're the national champs. So it kind of is what it is at this point. But no matter what's happened before now, you can take some steps towards feeling good again by winning a series, but more importantly, finding a way to sweep a series. And that's going to be difficult to do. I'm not going to predict a sweep. I'm hoping for one, but I do think State takes the series 2-1, which will give us 11 wins in the SEC, and you got to find a way to get 4. You start thinking about that. Can we get to 4? Get 4 more? I don't know that you can, but if you get 3, at least gets you in the conversation. But again, we're looking at a sub 500 record in the SEC more than likely, and an RPI probably outside of the top 50. And that's maybe being generous right there. So there you go. That's your look at Florida. We're going to look around the SEC a little bit later in the show. I want to give you guys, too, your prime shrimp player to watch this weekend. And I'm going to do it a little bit differently. We went with Brandon Smith. I'm going to go with Preston Johnson this week. I think Preston Johnson is your player to watch this week. Let's thank our friends at Prime Shrimp first. Go to primeshrimp.com today. You'll be glad you did. I cannot endorse these guys enough. I've absolutely loved this. It's like when they first contacted me, I was like, I don't know. I tried a sample product. I'm like, hey, this is great. I ordered some more. And I'm like, hey, this could be like a regular part of my deal. You order it, put it in the freezer, and you get it out when you want it. You don't have to worry about all that stuff. It's shipped directly to your door. It's well packaged. It's well cooled. It's easy to prepare. They've already been peeled. There's no tails. You don't have to devein them. You just boil a pot of water. 10 minutes later, you drop the shrimp in, and they're done. It's amazing. And if you get that French Quarter Alfredo, it comes with the Alfredo sauce as well. So all you got to do is heat up some fettuccine noodles, and next thing you know, it's just like your own Sabisa at Cafe Sabisa there on Decatur Street. It's incredible. Go to primeshrimp.com today. They've been peeling shrimp since the 1940s. They know how to help you feed your family. Use promo code Boneyard to save some money on that order. Again, that's primeshrimp.com. And again, they are your player of the week sponsor or your player to watch. And so I'm going to go with Preston Johnson. You can say, but Steve, he hadn't been good lately. You're right about that. You're right. And he will tell you the same. I don't think there's any question about it. I mean, he got shelled last week against Missouri. Wasn't good. But here's the thing that I've noticed about Preston Johnson in the 2 years that he has been here. Number one, the guy is a tremendous competitor. And he is a guy that generally bounces back. Now, let's take a quick look at his splits this year and see how he's performed. And it's rare that he has 2 bad outings in a row. You can say, but Steve, he gave those 3 first-inning home runs against Ole Miss. He did, but then he ends up getting the shirt, right? Because he buckled down and kind of kept us in the game. He doesn't get credited with the win, but we do. We win the ball game. And I think that's the thing you look back in hindsight and say, you know what? Not only did we win the ball game, but he saved some arms for the rest of the weekend and really kind of turned that weekend kind of around for us. Kind of set us up for Sunday. Really good effort. I wish I could get these numbers to pull up here. But that's one thing about the beauty of the internet sometimes. It's like, I just put this in and it didn't work, and then I go back and put it in, the same thing, and it works. And again, the world's an imperfect place. But looking at Preston Johnson's numbers here, And let's be honest. Beginning of the year, he was going to be the first guy of the bullpen, right? I mean, that was a role that we were comfortable with him in, and he had to be the Friday night starter. I mean, we're kind of asking him to do a job that we didn't sign him to do. Now, he wanted the job. Make no mistake about it. Preston Johnson has wanted to be a pitcher on the weekend. But, let's go back and look here. He had that horrible outing against Arkansas. It's awful. 4 innings pitched, 7 hits, 7 earned runs, 5 walks, 7 Ks. It was dreadful. The next game, he comes back, 2 hits, 1 run, 6 innings pitched, 10 Ks against LSU. A phenomenal effort. We didn't win the game, but it was a phenomenal effort. Then we have the Auburn game, right? 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, 4 runs, 3 of them earned, 12 Ks. Then the Ole Miss game. So now all of a sudden you have this bad game at Missouri, and nobody feels that worse than he does. And he had some pretty good stuff. It's just when he made mistakes, they made him pay for it. He had 10 Ks in that ball game, and he only goes 4 innings and allows 9 runs. I suspect back at home tonight, you're going to see kind of a return to form from Preston Johnson. And I think that's going to be huge for Mississippi State because I feel like if you can win and get a quality start from him, I guess Brennan Smith tonight, but if you can get that from him and save some arms from Sunday, you got a real chance to sweep the series. Now, we got to swing the bats too, but ultimately I think pitching kind of cost us last weekend. I think we'd all agree with that. And I think Preston would probably wear the blame for that Saturday loss. Now, you had some guys coming behind him that didn't throw strikes either, but it wasn't like he was walking a lot of people. But we put ourselves in a bad situation, gave us some home runs, and so we've got to go out there and keep the ball down. And again, he is a guy that I have always expected to answer the bell, and he's three Ks away from 100 Ks. Did you know that? That's crazy to think about. So let's kind of look ahead to that. Preston Johnson, your prime shrimp player to watch this weekend. All right, it's time for today's top 10 list, and we're doing country again today, courtesy of our good friend Blair Chandler. If you are unfamiliar with Blair, let me introduce you. Blair is my friend, been my friend a long time. He is a friend in the mortgage industry. He's a personal friend, too. I don't want to suggest that it's just an arm's length type arrangement, but Blair's my friend that happens to be a mortgage professional. A lot of people out there competing for your business, but Blair's got 21 years of experience. That guy has seen it all and done it all. He's dealt with non-conforming borrowers, some atypical situations. Perhaps you've got a property that has got mixed zone usage. Listen, all that stuff is not Greek to him. He knows exactly how to handle things to get your loan approved. Close ratio in the top 1% nationally, and that's what happens when you deal with a mortgage professional. Underwriting can be a difficult chore, and you need somebody to go be your advocate, and that's Blair Chandler. And so visit Blair at closewithblair.com. That's C-L-O-S-E with Blair, B-L-A-I-R. His personal phone number is 601-500-2344. Again, 601-500-2344. And he is licensed to practice in multiple states, so reach out and let him know that what your situation is, and he can get right to work on your deal. And maybe you're somebody living paycheck to paycheck because of the fact that maybe you got overextended on some credit card debt. Maybe you had some unexpected expenses. There's no need to panic. Blair can get your equity working for you and put you in a better frame of mind. Get a lot better sleep at night knowing that you are not going to have to sweat it out going to lunch with the friends the day before payday, and you run that debit card, it's kind of debit card roulette. You don't know if you're going to win or not. So remove that anxiety from your life. Go to closewithblair.com. And if you are a loyal Boneyard listener, mention to him that you heard about him on the Boneyard, and he's going to pay for your appraisal. That is quite an incentive to do business with him. Again, that's closewithblair.com. All right, so top 10. Country today. Pretty good response last week. You guys may have seen this too. Brantley Gilbert is coming to Tupelo. Saw that earlier today. Brantley Gilbert. We're not doing Brantley today, but I just noticed that. Brantley Gilbert and Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll also doing some dates with Shinedown on the Planet Zero tour. Haven't seen those guys in a couple of years. Maybe I need to get out and go see them. Got to find some stuff to do. I'm going to see Motley in Atlanta at the stadium tour. The long-awaited stadium tour has been pushed back twice. Me and the homie Sam Denton are going to go make the trip and have a good time out there in Atlanta, Georgia. All right, so today we're not doing Motley. We could do Motley every day. I could come up with a Motley Crue themed top 10 list pretty much every day. Maybe we say, best songs from this tour, best songs from that tour, best songs written by this guy, best bass line, best guitar solo. I could do it. I'm your Motley Crue resident expert. And it's funny, too. Last night, really, really kind of funny moment in the ball game. We're going to talk about Kentucky and Tennessee a little bit later. Kentucky mows down a guy. They throws a fastball by a guy for a swinging strike three, and next thing you know, the in-stadium PA is playing Too Fast for Love. Why didn't we think of that? Why didn't we think of that? Rhett, I know you listen to the show. Let's put that on the playlist, Rhett Hobart. Let's bring more metal to Dudy Noble Field. But today, we're celebrating Miss Carrie Underwood, an incredibly talented singer, incredibly beautiful young lady that kind of rose to prominence on the success of the American Idol show. And I remember Simon Cowell said that he predicted she would be the best-selling American Idol artist of all time, and I believe she's done that. Pretty remarkable. Pretty remarkable. Now, her catalog has a lot of variety in it, too. A lot of country stuff does. We get up there and talk about, beer drinking and hell raising, and then we'll go sing a hymn like everything's okay. But this is one of those songs. Number 10 is Last Name, which is a song about a one-night stand. Opens up with a cool little banjo riff. It's like, hey, I went up there, next thing you know, I don't even know his last name. Maybe we've all been there. I have. Maybe you have. Number 9, Drinking Alone. A much different scenario also goes down in a bar. Guy comes up, tries to pick up a girl, and she's like, nope, I'm sitting here drinking alone tonight. I'm sad. I'm just going to kind of handle this deal on my own. And kind of got a little bit of an R&B feel to that. Number 8, Cowboy Casanova. Maybe you're familiar. I'm not a cowboy. I'm not. Never have been. I've worn cowboy boots maybe a handful of times in my life. Used to have some ostrich skin boots that somehow found its way into my life. And I wore them, had my jeans tucked in my boots, and went around town waiting for somebody to say something out of sorts. So I was never truly a Cowboy Casanova, but I think it's a pretty cool song. Number 7, Good Girl. And that's the thing, too. That's what we all wanted in life, right? Maybe when you meet the girl in the bar, you hope she's a bad girl. But then, if you're going to date her or marry her or have an extended relationship with her, you want her to be a good girl. It's got good values. Number 6, I like this song a lot. I think this is maybe a little bit underappreciated. I think the writing on this is pretty good. And, of course, a lot of people in country music don't write their own songs. A lot of songwriters out there making a big buck selling songs to people that maybe are better singers. But this is one, too, that I think the writing is very clever. It's a song called Undo It. Got a little bit of a rock element to it. And it's basically about kind of rebooting your life. It's like, I met you. I wish I could undo all this stuff and go back to who I was and my life being what it was before you came along. I know we've all been in that position before. All right, number 5, another great banjo intro here. It's Church Bells. Again, pretty clever writing here. I think you'll enjoy that one. Church Bells. That's your number 5 song. Number 4, Blown Away. Be blown away for a lot of different reasons. That's your number 4 song. Another big hit for her. Great, great vocal performance. Number 3, kind of what we were talking about before. We talk about one-night stands and drinking in bars and shooting pool and smoking left-handed cigarettes, but Where Jesus Take the Wheel on number 3. Jesus Take the Wheel. And I see that a lot out there. A lot of people use that as a hashtag. Very, very popular song. Number 2 is a duet with Miranda Lambert. It's Something Bad. Something bad's about to happen. Just kind of have that vibe. I didn't have that vibe beginning of baseball season, but I had it last week heading into that Missouri series. I just kind of felt, it feels so bad for us. It feels even worse today, knowing we've lost a series. But Something Bad, duet with Miranda Lambert. Number 1, though, could it be anything else? I don't think it could be. The debut single off the debut album, and I think every broken-hearted girl in the world probably sang this at the top of her lungs as she drove around the highways and byways of the Great South. It's a song, Before He Cheats. And again, very clever writing. May have saved a little trouble for the next girl because the next time that he cheats, it won't be on me. Great song. Great video, too. A lot of good visual imagery in this song, Took a Louisville Slugger to both headlights. It's great. And maybe if you're the guy that owns a pickup truck that got keyed and everything else, maybe you don't appreciate it quite as much. But there you go. Carrie Underwood's top 10 songs as I see them. And again, got some input from one of my country music experts on this list. And I went back and listened to them and kind of rearranged the order on the back end. But I think we can agree. Then my country music expert says you're probably going to get some grief over this list. Perfectly okay. Perfectly okay. I like the discussion, especially when we're talking music. I mean, I love sports, love music, and so I love to get your opinions on things. So we'll get back to some rock on Monday. If you guys have ideas for the top 10 list, reach out and let me know. Better yet, contact my friend Roy Samante on Twitter at Dogmatic67. That's DAWGMATIC 67. And he'll put your idea on the list. So there you go. So Carrie Underwood, knock that one off the list. Trying to do some country each week, and might do some R&B on Wednesday. Maybe. Kind of if I can find the right one. So maybe if you've got a good idea, reach out and let me know. I may just do my favorite R&B songs. We might do that one. You don't know that about me. I mean, you see the hair and the tattoos, and you think, well, he's only a rocker. You're wrong about that. You're wrong. There was a time in my life about all I listened to was R&B. I was a big Guy, Troop, and Jodeci fan. I loved Jodeci. Loved them. Like the work that Casey and JoJo did as well. Really, really enjoy some quality R&B, and I do think the R&B of the 90s was true R&B. I was all part of that New Edition tree, too, with Ralph Tresvant, because you need a man with sensitivity. I knew all that stuff. I got those CDs in my house. I can prove it. But there you go, your top 10 list. And again, reach out, let us know. Thanks so much for your support of the top 10 list. It's amazing to me how many people access those lists. Roy will send me the numbers sometimes, and I'm blown away. And sometimes I just go, I'm always not chasing numbers. Roy's like, hey, we need a big week. Let's do this, let's do that. Sometimes I just want to share my thoughts on some music that's important to me. Every so often I'll get the mood, and we haven't done a suicidal tendencies list. And many people are like, Steve, well, what is that? I love suicidal tendencies. I watched them open there in Jackson. We all gathered together to see the Queensryche Operation Mindcrime Empire Tour, and Suicidal blew our minds away playing in Mississippi. It's like, what? This is insane. I never felt more in tune with the prep hipsters of the private schools of central Mississippi than I did that night. Because we had seen Suicidal Tendencies like on MTV. Never thought in a million years they'd ever come to Mississippi, and they did. And I walked away. That was, to this day, that's the best concert I've ever attended, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And I think part of it is because I was so incredibly impressed with Suicidal Tendencies. Now, the Queensryche, I was already a huge Queensryche fan, so when I saw the show, and I was still blown away at how incredibly tight they were and how the performance was just so remarkable. It was unlike anything I'd ever seen. But Suicidal Tendencies, a phenomenal opener. And I was just so amazed at the energy they pulled from the crowd. It's like, how have I missed the boat here? It's like, I'd seen Institutionalized and some stuff on MTV, but it's like I see some of these kids that were just absolutely going off, and I'm like, I got to get up to speed here. And so Lights, Camera, Revolution was my first Suicidal Tendencies album. I went back and bought some other ones, but really, really dig those guys. And maybe we'll do a list at some point of Suicidal Tendencies, just because I want to talk about it. It's my show. They're my list. You can have your own list. Chances are your list would be wrong. But if you're into Suicidal Tendencies, man, if you'd like to hear that, reach out, let me know. Or maybe let Roy know, and we'll do that. But I will never forget that night in Jackson when we all got together. And we saw Suicidal and Queensryche. And it was just, I felt like, you know what? Why are these guys here? I mean, we're in Mississippi. I guess maybe I still had some of that small town, self-loathing Mississippian in me. And I was like, we're not worthy of this performance. This is the same venue that I watched the Oak Ridge Boys at the Dixie National Rodeo. And now these guys from the West are here laying down some rock, man. Blew my mind. It did. All right, next segment of the show brought to you by our friends at Campus Bookmart. I love Campus Bookmart. You will too, if you don't already. Stan the Man has moved on. We wish him the best in his retirement. That's just one less smiling face that you're going to see up there. The quality of service continues. The quality of pricing products remains. Campus Bookmart is a Starkvillian institution. Be sure and check them out. If you can't come to town, visit them on the World Wide Web. I know many of you are like, "Hey, Steve, I don't get to Starkville that often, but I want to support a Starkville business." You can look no further than Campus Bookmart. Great people, all Bulldogs, doing the best they can to provide you with the best Mississippi State merchandise on a daily basis. Visit them at campusbookmart.net. And by being a loyal Boneyard listener, we'll give you a phrase that pays, and that is BSR, which stands for Beautiful Steve Robertson. And that gets you free shipping on all orders over $50. Any order less than $50, absolutely incomplete. Now, many of you, like me, stayed up really, really late last night to watch Kentucky and Tennessee finish that game. I'm a Nick Mingione fan. I think an awful lot of Nick Mingione. And so I'm pulling for Nick and those guys to find a way to maybe make the tournament. Not at our expense, obviously, but I want Nick to have a good career, man. The guy was great when he was here at Mississippi State. But Kentucky picks up a huge, huge win last night. Huge. I don't know if we can understate or overstate how important that win was, not just for them, but I think, too, we start talking about, that maybe perhaps that Tennessee is invincible. I think I saw a stat this morning that, Kentucky held Tennessee hitless like in their last 42 at-bats in a ball game. That is ridiculous. Kentucky wins it 3-2. And walk it off there, obviously, in the 13th inning. But Tennessee gets up 1-0 in this ball game. I guess that's right. Yeah, they get up 1-0. And then I guess these numbers aren't right. There's so much. I guess it's a longer box score. But let me look here. Yeah, but anyway, to make a long story short, it was back and forth for a while and was tied at 2. Yeah, I guess they get up 2-0. And then Kentucky ties it with 2 in the fourth. That makes it a 2-2 ball game. And then there is no scoring until the bottom of the 13th. They get a 2-out triple and then a little fister down the line and left. Guy was just strong enough to just kind of muscle it down the line there, and the run scores. Thrasher, of course, scores the run. And that's a kid, too, that had Shout at the Devil from Motley as his walk-up song. As I tweeted last night, you're not getting home without some metal. Of course it's that kid scoring. But a huge win for those guys. Wouldn't it be wild if Kentucky took the series? It's crazy to think about that. You say, Steve, there's no way. Well, Kentucky has actually been pretty good outside of Friday in the SEC. So now we expect them to come back. But what if Nick perhaps has figured something out here? What if Nick and the Kentucky staff have kind of figured out, hey, this is how you attack this Tennessee lineup? And what if maybe they share it with us? Huh? You know what I'm saying? Be great. All right, so that's the only game that was in the conference last night was the Tennessee-Kentucky game. And what a game it was. Man, I love college baseball. I absolutely do. I could watch it every day. All right, so Vanderbilt is at Georgia. This is a huge series for Vanderbilt. And Georgia, kind of trying to play their way into a hosting opportunity. We mentioned earlier, they got top 5 RPI. They're in a really good spot to host. You need to finish this deal here. And we talk about, Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's another team, too, that just maybe hadn't been what some people expected them to be. They're about what I thought they would be. I said, basically since we left Omaha, they were going to take a step back this year. They're right there with us. It's kind of ironic. They're 10-11 in the league and 29-14 overall. Not been a great road team. Most teams aren't. Matter of fact, you look at you look around the SEC. Most teams in the SEC have a losing road record. In the East, Tennessee, of course, 9-1. Georgia 9-7. Vandy 8-5 on the road. And then A&M. Auburn's 8-6. A&M's 10-5. They're a great road team. And then 8-8 for Ole Miss. But, it's going to be interesting, to say the least. But I like Georgia to win it. Georgia might even sweep this thing. I mean, honestly, they might. And, Vanderbilt, I think they're firmly in the tournament. But, we'll see how the rest of the schedule goes for those guys. You start looking at the numbers here. It's not going to be an easy stretch for Vandy. You go to Georgia this weekend. Then you go to Arkansas, and then you host LSU. That's tough, man. That's tough. So we could be in a situation if we can find some W's, to pass those guys. Now, our schedule is not much lighter by any stretch of the imagination. But how weird is it that the two national semifinalists are going to have to sweat this thing out down the stretch? Pretty crazy. But I like Georgia in the series. We're going to take them 2-1. I can see Georgia sweeping this thing. 20-5 at home. They don't drop much at home. But with Cannon back, hey. And I think, too, with Georgia taking a series, that pretty much clinches, maybe not mathematically, but it pretty much makes Georgia the number 2 in the East. They're not going to catch Tennessee, but they could put some distance between themselves and Vanderbilt. And, of course, nobody else in the East has a winning record in conference. And so I think Georgia taking 2 makes them 14-10 with 2 series left to play. So you feel pretty confident they're going to finish above 500. There may be only 2 teams in the East that do, that being Tennessee and Georgia. Again, when we left Georgia, I said, I think they're a good team. Are they good enough to host? Probably. Are they good enough to be a top 8? I don't think so. I think that's going to play out pretty much as we expected it. But again, that Georgia team, Scott Strickland, this guy's, they collapsed down the stretch last year. They were a good team last year. Just, didn't have a good final 10 games. I think they lost, 7 of 10, 8 of 10, something like that. LSU is at Alabama. This is a very, very interesting series. And I know it's not going to get a lot of national acclaim, but it could mean an awful lot in the standings. You say, well, Steve, what's our rooting interest here? Well, we're basically tied there with Alabama 9-12, and LSU is 12-9. So my honest opinion is I think we pull for LSU here. I don't think we have any chance of catching LSU. But I think maybe LSU can put some L's on Alabama and allow us to move up into the pecking order. I just don't think there's any way we catch the Tigers. I think the best we can hope for is perhaps to finish 4th or 5th in the SEC, which is crazy considering the beginning of the year. Many people considered us one of the favorites, but it is what it is. But I think you really want LSU to win the series and allow you to to leapfrog Alabama there. Again, we're right there with them. We hold the tiebreaker over those guys, so we're technically, if the tournament was seeded today, we would be the 5th seed out of the West. But let's kind of put some distance between them and the rearview mirror. Bottom line is we got to take care of our own business. We can't just depend on help. We got to win some games. I like LSU to take 2 of 3. LSU is pitching it a lot better than they were earlier in the year. Still kind of a joke defensively at times. But, yeah, Alabama, while they are better, and I suggested that earlier in the year they would be a better team this year, they are. I just don't know they've got enough. I do like that Alabama order, though. Awfully interesting. South Carolina is at A&M. South Carolina, you talk about a team that has a bit of an identity crisis. They can't tell if they want to be good or want to be bad. I just never know what to expect from South Carolina. I mean, here just a week ago, we're talking about them being 6-12 in the league. And then they sweep. Pretty crazy. So let's go back and look at this here. They get swept by Auburn. But, they were kind of in the mix there. That's not right. So they got swept by Auburn, and then they swept Alabama. That's what we're getting at. We talk about being up and down. They were 6-12. I knew that math wasn't right. 6-12, and they did take all 3 from Alabama. And 2 of those are one-run games. The Sunday game got away from Bama. It was 11-5 deal. But what do we make of this South Carolina team? I mean, it's like you look at them one week, it's like they have some huge big wins, and then it's like they've never played baseball before. It's pretty crazy to think about that. I mean, take 2 out of 3 for number 1 Texas. Swept by Tennessee. They beat Vandy. They lose a game at Mizzou, which, obviously we're learning it's not the most, easy thing to do. And then they take 1 out of 3 from Georgia. But, this is a team that has kind of shown they can play with anybody and they can lose to anybody. Kind of like us, kind of similarly situated, except this is a team, too, that has been dreadful on the road. Dreadful, 3-10. So we'll see how things go. I don't think that the way A&M is pitching it, South Carolina is going to be able to go down there and take a series. But let's go with the Aggies 2-1. I won't be the least bit surprised if A&M sweeps because they are playing really good baseball right now, and South Carolina has just proven to be so bad on the road. All right, Missouri is at Ole Miss. I like this series a lot too. One of the reasons that I like it is I feel confident Missouri is going to take a game, and I can see Missouri taking 2 for the same reasons that happened to us last weekend. Now, the one thing about it is that Ole Miss not going to have to throw against Missouri up there on the hill with a 25-mile-per-hour wind blowing out the right. And Ole Miss is really good in their own ballpark. I'm going to pick Ole Miss to take the series. I think Ole Miss will win it 2 out of 3. I'd love to see Missouri do it. I just don't know that they can. I think in the end that the length of that Ole Miss lineup, which is a little bit better, I think, than their fans may appreciate, is going to cause an issue. I think Ole Miss will play well enough at home. And DeLucia's been so good on Friday. So you automatically give Ole Miss the win tonight, in my estimation. I think you pick them to win today, and then they just got to find another one. I just can't see Missouri taking 2 in a row from those guys. I mean, listen, they've got some interesting pieces in the bullpen. So if they get a lead in one of those games, you feel good about it. But are they all in 2 games? Can they do it? I think Ole Miss takes the series 2-1, which would make Missouri 8-16 in the league and assured of a 9-1 record. It also makes Ole Miss 9-13. With 2 weekends left. So again, interesting matchup. But I could see Mizzou winning the series. I just don't expect it. Arkansas is at Auburn. This is the one that a lot of the SEC regional baseball analysts will be watching. Auburn now all of a sudden getting some injuries on the pitching staff. Buckhalter's going to be out. Hayden Mullins is going to be out. I like Arkansas in the series. I know Arkansas is a tough, gritty team. And that's a Dave Van Horn attribute. They talk about teams take on the personality of their skipper. That's the case with Arkansas. Dave Van Horn's a very mentally tough guy. So the Razorbacks, I think, go into Auburn and take the series. Arkansas kind of in contention for a top 8 national seed again, but they're nowhere near as good as they were last year. But you look up, and all of a sudden, they're grinding out these W's. Now, the thing about Arkansas, too, we talk about road records. They're 4-5 on the road. The difference is that Auburn is just having all these issues on the pitching side, and Arkansas can absolutely swing it. I don't know that I would say Auburn's going to sweep because I think Arkansas pitching the last couple weekends has been a little bit sketchy. They've had some guys that have done pretty good, but, Connor Nolan, those guys, as a staff, as a complete staff, I think now that people have kind of seen some film, people are attacking them a little bit differently. And Sonny DeShara, of course, having a career year there at Auburn, really kind of helping carry that offense. Auburn's going to get at least one. But I think Arkansas takes a series. I think in the end, Auburn won't have the pitching to win Game 3 there on Sunday. So that's your look around the league. And just recapping again, Tennessee's should take a series from Kentucky, even though they got to win 2 in a row. I think Georgia takes 2 of 3 from Vandy, LSU 2 of 3 from Alabama, A&M 2 of 3 from South Carolina, maybe even sweeps. I think Ole Miss takes 2 of 3 from Missouri. State takes 2 of 3 from Florida, and Arkansas, the lone road team, to win a series this weekend. LSU will too. I guess I'm completely discombobulated now. Tennessee's on the road too. That's just a bad point. But Arkansas will take the series there at Auburn. So just completely disregard what I said about them being the only road team. I don't know what I'm talking about. So interesting weekend. We need some things to go our way. And again, I think what we need is some teams that we know we're not going to catch, beat some teams we can. And so that's kind of where we are. I mean, and we look at the SEC standings right now. I guess we're seeded 8th. So Tennessee would be 1, Arkansas would be 2. And then you kind of go from there, which at this point, I think based on the tiebreaker, with Georgia would be 3, LSU would be 4. And then there is Texas A&M, which would be, I guess Texas A&M would be 4 because they hold the tiebreaker over LSU. LSU would be 5. And then currently Vanderbilt is 6, and then South Carolina 7, and then us, and then Alabama. So it kind of goes from there. You get down to the bottom of the league. Right now, if the SEC tournament started this weekend, Ole Miss wouldn't be in it. Ole Miss and Missouri would be out. So those 2 teams will kind of play for the SEC cellar this weekend. The loser of that series it would be 14th in the league. So all of that is very interesting too. I mean, of course, Missouri's just, I guess, a half game out of 6th with Kentucky, and they did win the series, so they would hold a tiebreaker there. But Ole Miss, 2 games behind Mississippi State and Alabama. So that'll be interesting too. I mean, you begin to think about if LSU goes in there and sweeps Alabama and then Ole Miss wins the series against Mizzou, the next thing you know, they have kind of flip-flopped. Of course, Mississippi State, hey, we lose a series to Florida, we're still there too. Again, you got a 2-game lead, but you still got 9 games left to play, so a lot could happen. But if it started today, Missouri and Ole Miss not going to Hoover. And I've talked to some people in college baseball about this too. There are a lot of people out there that feel like it's kind of it's kind of a foregone conclusion that Mike Bianco is fired at the end of the year. I would not want to be Keith Carter for multiple reasons. But when I think about this situation here, I just begin to think about Mike Bianco, 3rd winningest coach in SEC history. If memory serves me correct, only Skip Bertman and Ron Polk have won more SEC games in SEC history than Mike Bianco. And you can say, well, that's great. On the Ole Miss side of things, you begin to say, yeah, but he's been to Omaha once. And so, yeah, we've won a bunch of games, but we haven't been able to win them when it matters most. And I get it. I do. It's like some of the angst that many of us had about Dan Mullen. It's like, yeah, we're winning a bunch of games, but we can't get back to Atlanta. It's like, hey, yeah, it's great. We're enjoying the bowl games, but man, how great would it be one year to go up there and do it? And Ole Miss goes to Omaha back in 2014, and that's a long time ago now. I mean, think about that for a second. It's like, we went in 2013, and we're back in a regional in 2014. We had a dreadful year in 2015. And in 2016, we win the SEC. We're a top 8 national seed. We didn't make it to Omaha. 2017, we lose in the Supers at LSU. That's the Brent Rooker Triple Crown year. 2018, we make it to Omaha. 2019, make it to Omaha. 2021, make it to Omaha and win it. And so if you're Mike Bianco, it's like you begin to kind of realize you've missed your window. Because at the beginning of the show, we talked about the decision where Mississippi State began to kind of recommit to baseball. Well, all of a sudden, now Ole Miss is just kind of a glorified also-ran. And I think there is a real possibility that they work out a settlement of some sorts and let him retire. I can't see them firing Mike Bianco. I just can't. I just can't. I can't wrap my mind around that. I think you got to handle that deal with class. And maybe you buy him out, call it a retirement or whatever. I don't know how long Mike Bianco wants to coach. But I also know that this team was built to win this year. You didn't have the pitching. One things that we talked about early in the year, but offensively, you just felt like, hey, with the way those guys can swing it, you don't have to have a lot of great pitching on Sundays. If you could just find a way to get a split Friday, Saturday, and you get into Sunday and kind of exhaust somebody's bullpen, you can win like a church league softball game, 19-12 or something. But offensively, they have not been at all what a lot of people expected them to be. And at the end of the day, you look up and you're dead last in the West and currently out of Hoover. I get it. But it's a complicated issue, to say the least. It's kind of like, well, who would we want up there? A lot of people say, well, they'll go get Tony Vitello. No. I can't see it. I think Tony's kind of got it rolling up there, too. And I think, Tony may, leave for Arkansas someday when Dave Van Horn retires. But I think Tony's enjoyed kind of carving out his own niche. Now all of a sudden they're committing some baseball. They signed a huge contract last year. But Ole Miss would be a fool not to at least go kick the tires. Why would you not? You have to. Maybe people say Cliff Godwin at ECU. That guy's consistently hosting regionals, and a great job. Former Ole Miss hitting coach. Got some connections there. But, I don't know who we'd want there. I don't know. But I do know this. I know that I have a lot of respect for Mike Bianco and the things he has accomplished at Ole Miss, and sometimes at our expense. But I would hate to see that thing end ugly. I really would. And, again, I go back to this whole thing, too. It's like, what do you want? Well, we want to go to Omaha regularly. Okay. Everybody else does, too. But Ole Miss's baseball tradition, despite their protest to the contrary, was pretty anemic, until I guess Swayze got there. Swayze had a good run. Jay Gibbs had a few good years there. But in the 80s, it was miserable. And I don't know if you guys have looked at this. And maybe this is some good water cooler talk for you guys. And we talk about having a sense of history. And there are a lot of people that get caught up in recency bias. So here's the deal. So Ole Miss, prior to 1980, went to 5 NCAA baseball regionals in their history. Now, we didn't start having the tournament until 1948. They made their first appearance in 56, and, of course, they went in 77. They didn't go back to a regional, not Omaha. They didn't go back to a regional until 1995. 18 years between regional appearances. Well, in the meantime, Ron Polk is kind of wrestling control of college baseball in the state of Mississippi. And I say wrestling control. We had it. Because Gregory was the better coach too, when he was here. And so you look at that and you think, man, so what happened? Well, Mike Bianco got hired. So Bianco, in many respects, kind of like Skip Bertman. And even though LSU's baseball tradition was even more anemic than Ole Miss prior to Skip Bertman getting there, Bianco inherited a program that was second fiddle in their own state and a team that did not have a lot of NCAA tournament appearances. And so, again, I respect what he's done. And then people will say, well, Steve, you're a Mississippi State guy. Of course you want him there. I mean, State's dominated the rivalry. Well, we always did, other than one little minor stretch there in the early 2000s. We've dominated as of late. It wasn't like it's an upset. I mean, we just kind of reclaimed our rightful place on the throne. And now we've got an AFL championship to show for it. But again, I would hate to see that end ugly for Mike Bianco. I mean, it's like if the Ole Miss people are upset, I mean, that's just so be it. I mean, but Bianco's had a great career at Mississippi State, and I know that he lost a lot of favor with people last year when he was flirting with LSU. And to the end of the day, I don't know that was actually a real deal. Honestly, I don't know how serious it got. I know some Ole Miss media people were kind of suggesting that. I think a lot of that was kind of an agent talk. I think there were a lot of people just trying to get him a better deal. And now you're a year later, a year removed from signing that deal, and people want him gone. So how expensive is that going to be? Interesting. All right, final segment of the show brought to you by Portico. Our friend Brooks Bryan, Brooks is a buddy, man. I love Brooks to death. He is a great guy. And not just because he played baseball at Mississippi State, that always helps. And not just because of the fact that he robbed a home run to send us to Omaha, but that always helps. But Brooks is just a good dude. And one of the things that I enjoy, too, is like seeing our former players around, supporting the program, supporting the players, supporting the staff. And that's Brooks. He does. You'll see him at football. You'll see him at baseball. And a lot of times he'll come by himself and just link up with, some friends out there in the outfield and have a cold one. Maybe you want to do that, too. And Brooks is part of a great group that's bringing this wonderful residential development to town. Portico. Very easy to get to. You turn off of 82 on a 12, like going to campus, the very first right is Pat Station Road, and that'll take you to Portico. It's 1.1 miles away from the Mississippi State campus. How cool is that? You can go run on campus if you want to. You can warm up on your 1 mile run to campus, and run that other mile home. That's how conveniently located it all is. And it's on the quiet side of campus, too. So you get the convenience of campus without all the hustle and bustle. Be sure and go check them out. Let me give you Brooks' number, just between us girls here. Brooks' number, 601-416-8075. Again, 601-416-8075. You can start with a 2-bedroom, 2-bath home, go all the way up to a 4-bedroom, 4-bath home, and anything in between. And at this point, Phase 1 is completely sold out. Your new neighbor is already enjoying life in Portico. Phase 2 under construction now, but you can have a say in picking out your lot and your house plans and kind of get to work on that right away. You'll be glad you did. Make Portico your next move. All right, I wanted to talk a little bit because I wrote the article earlier this week about about who recruited who on our NAFL championship team. And so a lot of people, well, yeah, Steve, we've been recruiting this. And so it's created a lot of discussion. A lot of people have reached out to me. And I wanted to share a couple things with you, too. We talk about talent cycles, right? I mean, you've got a lot of guys out there, like last year, you could kind of argue that we reached the end of a talent cycle in some respects. Obviously, we had a strong nucleus coming back, but, TA and Rowdy were part of that great class. I mean, that was a tremendous class. Josh Hatcher was part of that class. That was the Westberg Foscue class, if I'm not mistaken. But you had a ton of great guys in there that did a great job for us. And so you wonder, what's the next wave? Well, Brad will probably get drafted this year. RJ is going to be gone. Cam James probably gone. Logan Tanner probably gone. Luke Hancock may have a decision to make. Forsyth will be back. But you begin to look at, okay, well, what do we have coming back? What about next year's team? Well, number one, we're Mississippi State. Okay, we've recruited pretty well. We always do. We always just about always in the top 10. There are a few outliers, but we're always a top 10 type recruiter. And then on top of that, I expect Mississippi State to be extremely active in the portal because you can say, look at what we did for Scotty DeBruhlkamp and R.J. Yeager. So obviously we're able to kind of get guys in and get them going. But at the end of the day, the portal will only get you so far. You've got to have some guys that are not one-hit wonders. You've got to have some people that are going to be here for 3 years to kind of help sustain your program. Hunter Hines, I wrote an article yesterday about him, why he should be a freshman All-American candidate. I don't think there's any question. He is third in the SEC in RBIs regardless of player or class. He's second among freshmen in home runs nationally. That guy's going to be a freshman All-American. He's hitting 293. 293. 14 dingers, 47 ribbies. And that 47 ribbies obviously leads the team. And you remember there was a stretch there where we really struggled. You know, he had a stretch there, and then now in SEC play, he's figured it out. He has been phenomenal here in the last dozen ball games. No question about it. So, and he's also going to be here 2 more years. He will not be draft eligible until after the 2024 season. So that's a big part of things right there. You start thinking, okay, now I've got a guy in the heart of my order that has some power, but also, too, can hit some for average. We got to find a way to get him a little bit quicker. We do. You look up here and see he had a triple earlier in the year, and, of course, that was a misplayed ball in the outfield. But Hunter, not a very fast guy. But that's another guy, too, obviously, that you feel really great about him. You know, Kellum Clark is a guy, too, that will be draft eligible. Has he done enough to command a pick that will get him to go? And obviously, we still got a couple of years to work with, right? So he, you know, I think there's a possibility that he's back. And again, a lot of it's going to depend on where he's drafted. But he is a guy, too, if he continues to make the jump. He's a 13 home run guy now. He hit 5 last year. And so now you begin to think, all right, well, exponentially, let's say he comes back and, you know, maybe he's a 20 home run guy next year. Now, that's a big number. It is. But certainly a high teens guy. I think you can be excited about that. But I think that guy's coming back. I think if I had to call it today, I think Kellum comes back. I just don't know that he'll be drafted high enough to command the signing bonus that he would probably want. And again, he's still got 2 years to work with, so he doesn't have to come this year. But let's say you get him back. Well, let's look up and down the order here and begin to think about Aaron Downs. You know, Aaron Downs is a guy. So Mississippi State had a handful of players from the beginning of the year, perfect game. Had their top 500 freshmen. Mississippi State, I think, had 5 in that list. Hunter Hines was one of them. He was the lowest rated of the group. So we had 6, yeah. So Aaron Downs was one of them, and I believe Aaron was the highest rated of the group. Aaron Downs, a guy that missed some time early this year, hadn't played a whole lot. He's been a little bit banged up. But this is a guy, too, that we expect to be a starting outfielder for us. Tremendous amount of power. The pro scouts love him. But this is a guy that'll be back next year, I think, be a real factor. Now, one of the guys that hadn't played much this year, if at all, is Trey Higgins. Revy, they call him. He's Revy Higgins III. He's a quarterback. It's another guy the scouts love. You hadn't seen him, but this is another guy that's going to be a factor next year. You need to get a little bit bigger and stronger, learn to hit the breaking ball a little bit better. But this guy has star potential written all over him. We really think this guy has the potential to be a great player at Mississippi State. Slade Alford is a guy, too. You know, you heard about him in the fall as being arguably State's best defender at third base. And he's made some plays, and other times he hadn't. We're a little bit concerned about hitting. You know, he can hit it. If you throw him a fastball, he's going to embarrass you. But he's got to learn to pick up spin a little bit better. But this is a guy, too. All of a sudden you start thinking, if Cam James moves along, and I think at this point he will, Slate takes over at third. That gives you Forsythe at short. And then if Hancock comes back, and that's obviously a possibility, he's at first. If not, Hunter Hines is at first. And you probably got to go into the portal probably to go get a veteran guy to play second. Or maybe you get a guy that moves Forsythe second. I don't know. But you start feeling pretty good about that infield defensively. And you know what you've got in the pieces in the outfield. But, where would we be this year, too, without Pico Khan? This is Pico Khan. Pico Khan. I always have to check myself. Pico is the guy that's probably thrown more innings than anybody expected. He's got 29 innings thrown this year. 2-0 record, 3.72 ERA, 16 appearances, 2 starts. Also has a save to his credit. Is allowing less than a hit per inning. has allowed 12 earned runs, 11 walks against 31 Ks. So this is a true freshman out here pitching in the Southeastern Conference, putting up a 3-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. That dog will hunt. Now, he's got to get bigger and stronger, and you expect him to. Cole Cheatham is a guy we talked a little bit early this week. You know, Cole probably had the best pitching performance of all the relievers last weekend, with the exception of Casey Hunt. But Cole Cheatham is another, freshman left-hander. He's got 5 appearances and really been in short bursts. But he had an outstanding effort last week against Missouri. Am I ready to say he's ready for the weekend rotation? No, I'm not. But that's a building block for us as you begin to kind of look forward and think about this. Jack Walker was highly heralded coming out of high school. And again, just needs to get bigger and stronger. He struggled at times in the fall too. But this is a guy, too, that, he has some pretty good stuff. He just got to add a little velo. He's got to get bigger and stronger, put on some mass. I think Jack's going to win a lot of ball games here. I'm not ready to give up on him by any stretch of the imagination. But, 1 win this year, 9.64 ERA. And, of course, he had the one really bad outing at Tulane that really kind of ballooned on him. But then he had a good outing against Arkansas. You start looking at the numbers, it's all about walks with him. It's all about control here. And that's what happens when you can't keep people off your fastball. You start getting too reliant on the change and the breaking ball. And if you can't consistently throw those pitches for strikes, well, people are going to wait you out. And, he's got, look at the numbers here, 11 walks this year, in 14 innings. And I guess a couple hit by pitches too. Look at the numbers here. But 3 hit by pitches. But he's been hittable. And that's what happens. When you can't throw a secondary pitch for a strike, you are hittable. I don't care how many years you've been in the league. When all you have is a fastball, you're facing some of the best hitters in all college baseball. So if you can't get them out with a second and third pitch, they're just going to sit there and like taking BP. And that's been the issue, Jack. Opponents are hitting 304 against him, 304. But again, I'm not ready to give up on that guy. But when I began to think about these guys and then what we have coming in, and listen, everybody's talked about Jet. Jet's going to be a first-rounder. He's the shortstop out of Texas, and I don't know if he's a shortstop at the next level, but that kid can really play. I don't expect him. And I think that if we get him, obviously that answers some questions about your middle infield, assuming he can make the adjustment to college pitching. But the guy's an absolute masher. We do think he's going to be a first-rounder. I don't think there's any question. But there's a young nucleus of players that are getting some experience this year. They're going to be the guys next year. And again, it's so easy to look, there's some of these guys that are draft eligible. I don't think all these guys go. I think Luke Hancock's a guy that loves Mississippi State. He may just decide, I'm ready to go. And he may just sign whatever he gets. I don't know what he's thinking. But Luke is a guy that could probably benefit from coming back. Luke probably needs to get some more reps at catcher. I don't know. And again, I don't know what he's thinking. But either way, I think we're good. But you've got some young catchers you're kind of working on and working with. And I don't know that I wouldn't go get a guy out of the portal because you know that Logan's going to be gone. Probably a first or second rounder. I don't think offensively he's done enough to stay in the first round projections. Probably a second or third rounder, but I think he goes high enough to go. And he's been great for us. And we wish him the best. And he came here and did a great job for us and wanted to win a championship, and he did. But I don't have these feelings of doom and gloom like some other people do. But look at next year. Well, how many of these guys, like this time last year, did you think Kellum Clark would be the dude that he is? No. You didn't even know who Hunter Hines was. His name wasn't even on the radar. Pico wasn't even on the radar. And so we're going to be a younger team next year, so we've got to find a way to get a little bit older, which is going to be the portal. And I think you're going to end up seeing, usually we've taken 1 or 2 guys out of the portal. The first year it opened, we took a couple grad transfers. We got David Dunleavy, and we got Carlisle Kessler, and then we get Stone Simmons. And you start looking at that, you start getting excited about, okay, well, if we've had some guys that have come in and done a good job for us, let's go get 3 or 4 of them. And I think that's what you're going to see happen. I think you'll have this young nucleus return, and you'll have some guys that are draft eligible elect to come back. You'll add some portal guys, and then you'll get guys like Higgins that is redshirted this year back in the mix. And you never know who the newcomers are going to be. This time last year, did you expect R.J. Yeager to be among the best players in the Southeastern Conference? You didn't. And so before we throw the baby out with the bathwater, let's put some confidence in our coaching staff that they'll address the issues. They're well aware of what roster management requires. So we're going to have a good team next year. assuming we stay healthy next year, I think you're back in a position where you're potentially hosting again. You can say, but Steve, you're getting the cart before the horse. Well, no, I'm not. Because I think most of us that know kind of what's coming at the pipeline kind of realize that this was going to be a bit of a transition year, even though our expectations are really high. We thought, can we be a top 8? Yeah. Will we host? Yeah. And then all of a sudden you start going through the list. You lose Landon Sims. You lose Stone Simmons. You lose Brooks Auger. It's like all of a sudden, now all of a sudden you're jammed up. So yeah, you were probably maybe a shaky top 8 in the regional projections, and then you lose your bell cow pitcher and your best reliever. Now all of a sudden you're on the back end of potentially hosting at best. And now we're just trying to make the tournament. But again, I think sometimes let's just take a deep breath here. Let's take a deep breath, kind of understand where we are and where we're headed. I had somebody send me a number too. People ask this all the time. What are we hitting in SEC play? I haven't went and done the math myself. What are we hitting in SEC play runners in scoring position? The number I was given, 306. 306. It's not as bad as we think. Sometimes we strain that guy at first base, but there's no denying we've got to get more timely hits, and that's got to start tonight. I expect Brandon Smith to go out there and give us a good start, and I think the Bulldogs will be ready to go, and it's so important to win this one. And again, remember, the prime shrimp player to watch this weekend, Preston Johnson. You start kind of thinking it through your mind. If you can squeeze one out tonight and Preston gives you a quality start tomorrow, you start to feel really good about your weekend. And if you have a great weekend, all of a sudden you start feeling better about your season. Again, I think 1-2 is just kind of the bare minimum, and it just kind of keeps you in the conversation. And again, right now we're on the outside looking in. You win 3, now all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, here we go. And that was the feeling last weekend, is like, hey, we need to find a way to go sweep Missouri. I didn't think we would. I thought we'd at least get 2 of 3, and I said that on the show. But now, we're in a situation, too, where our back's against the wall. And one thing I'll say, guys like Cameron James and Logan Tanner and Luke Hancock and Brad Cumbus, those guys, they've been up against it before. This time last year, we lose that series to Missouri, and a lot of people were counting them out. I even read on the message boards, people were saying, you know what, Steve, we're not even going to win a regional. We won a national championship. So these guys know what it takes to kind of rally around each other. And now, hey, we're down to the end of the deal. They got to do it. So hopefully on Monday, we're talking about a great series win and hopefully a sweep. But again, I'm not expecting that. But hopefully we get some help around the league. And you never know what happens when you get to Hoover, too. You just never know. Listen, if you hadn't done so, go to dogpilethebook.com and you can order Dogpile, signed and personalized copies. Mother's Day, of course, this weekend, a little bit late for that. You have to go to a local bookstore and pick it up. Father's Day is coming up, though. And maybe you've put off buying your dad those books, and maybe update his collection. You can get signed copies of Flim Flam, Alpha Dogs, and Stark Villains, along with Dogpile. Blooms of Oleander, of course, available through Amazon, booksamillion.com, and bookstores everywhere. Be sure and check that out. Stark Villains gear is always available at starkvillains.com. That's it for today, man. We'll see you guys on Monday. Until next time, let's all live our lives in a way we make more friends than enemies, and people can see a difference in the way we live.
Virginia is for eaters and drinkers, all kinds of eaters and drinkers. For oyster shuckers and slurpers. Winery samplers are all-day wine drinkers. Brewery hoppers and distillery sippers. For those who order grits and those who order cheese grits. We all know what the right way to order is. For barbecue triers who turn into finger lickers and meat off the bone suckers. All right, all this talk of food is making me hungry. I gotta go get some mac and cheese. Like I was saying, Virginia is for all sorts of food lovers. So come love it for yourself.